Child, we got to get into Miss Eady. Give me 1 second so we could get into Miss Brittany Eady. You guys remember this woman from Real Housewives of Atlanta, the young lady that was creating issues with Kenya Moore. She was beefing with Kenya Moore all by herself, all by myself. Yeah, I wanna be all by myself. Anywho, well, we talked about this over the summertime where people were saying that, Brit Eady had filed that lawsuit against Bravo. And yes and no, it wasn't like a lawsuit yet. It was like a summons for one, right? And then they go through all the paperwork from my understanding. And then what they end up doing is serving it to Bravo. But she didn't serve it. And I felt like what she was doing, when people say, oh, she's suing them for all this money and stuff. When I went back and I looked through some things, I was like, I don't think she's serving them yet. I think she's giving them time to see how this reunion is going to play out. Based on how the reunion was going to play out, if there was anything that they may have done, then I think she would have pressed the button, right? So I guess after much thought, and back and forths, I guess, with her attorneys and stuff, she decided to go ahead and press that button to sue. To sue Bravo, right? So I'm reading from Bloomberg Law because I saw this last night when it popped up, and I was like, whoa. Whoa. Well, actually, I don't even know if it was last night. It was like earlier in the day, like the afternoon when I saw it. And I was like, dang, I was like, so I'm like, are we sure? I said, because I said, did she go forward with it? Because I remember last year where it was kind of like I mean, not last year, but over the summer where she was kind of like, okay, this is a summons. I might sue y'all. I might not. Let me see how this reunion finna go. So I said, oh, wow, look like she must have went ahead and pressed that button. So they're saying Real Housewives Eady sues Bravo over RP matter. All right. They're saying that Bravo Media LLC and production company Truly Original LLC are being sued by a castmate on the most recent season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. And we all know who that is. They're saying Brit Eady claims that in June of 2024, a castmate named Kenya Moore published to a group of hundreds of live onlookers and the defendant's cameras, a photographer, of a woman engaged in a graphic manner. Told the audience the woman was Eady, which wasn't true, according to the lawsuit filed Thursday. Right. So she just filed this. They're saying, despite initially recognizing the depravity of more sexual harassment of Eady, Bravo and Truly Original allegedly made the disgusting decision to leverage it at Eady's great expense by pressuring her to discuss the incident and her sexual history on camera over Eady's persistent objections. But I'm a little confused by that. Because first of all, when you sign up for reality TV, you sign up to expose all parts of your life, right? And when something happens to you on a show, they want to know, how are you feeling, how are you processing it. That's the whole point of capturing things in reality. And I'm not saying that Bravo did not cross the line, because I don't know, I'm not gonna be in the courtroom, none of that, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just trying, I just have questions. So I'm just wondering, what how did they necessarily pressure you to ask that question? Because I feel like it's also been times that, despite you signing up for a show and, you're supposed to give your whole life, I feel like there's been times where we've seen people say, I'm not talking about it. I'm not asking about that. Right? People can ask you questions all day on camera too. And you still could be like, I'm not going to open up about that part. Like, I feel like, although you're supposed to share your life, I feel like people have also kind of withheld some things. Hell, Robin withheld her whole situation with Juan Dixon, and the cheating or whatever the case was. Right. But then it ended up coming out. So, and a lot of housewives talk about stuff that they withheld, but Brit is feeling like she was pressured to discuss the incident and her sexual. Well, you're going to talk about the incident, period. Right? Because it happened on the show. It's a part of the show. It's very impactful. Right? We have to talk about that. But then your sexual history, ah, I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that, especially the attorneys that dabble in this sector of law. Like, hop in the comments and just let me know y'all thoughts, because it's just very interesting, you know. Now they're saying defendants knew immediately that Moore's photo presentation was beyond the pale, hugely improper, and well beyond the show's standards, expectations, and stated sexual harassment. Right? They're saying Bravo and Truly Original sought to gaslight Eady into thinking it was in her interest to discuss these highly personal sexual issues. And see, this is where I'm also a little confused because the person was never you in the photo because you came out and said that it wasn't you. In addition to that, I feel like one thing Bravo did do was reprimand Kenya by removing her from the show because she made you feel uncomfortable. Not removing you from the show because you made her feel uncomfortable talking about pop, pop, pew, 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 right? But Kenya was the one that was removed from the show based on her actions, right? So I also don't really recall a lot of people coming to you pressuring her to talk about it. But it don't mean production didn't try and force it behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Because they do bring certain things to the front that they want somebody to bring up or address. But I don't really think it was a lot of that. And if anything, when the ladies had the whole brunch, it was more so catering to your feelings. Some people just didn't care. They shrugged their shoulders and you didn't like that, you couldn't take that. So I don't know. Now, they're saying that the defendants then twisted the knife in another grotesque display of sexual harassment and retaliation by telling Eady that they were planning to invite Moore back to the show for the following season, and that if Eady wanted to be on the show next season, she would have to do so alongside Moore, her harasser. Right? And that's girl, y'all was harassing each other in my personal. That what she did was harassment in that moment, but I also feel like y'all were harassing each other. So just as much as she would have to come on the show to film, or you have to come on the show to film with her, she got to come on there and film with you. Somebody that also made a threat, right? It's and uh, this is crazy. I feel like I want to say Brittany has a case, right? Because attorneys pick it up, but attorneys pick up cases all day that they know they clients likely won't have a leg in, like a hand, like they not gonna be able to win, right? A lot of people pick up those cases because they're gonna get paid from you. Or if there's a way for them to finesse the network out of some type of settlement, they will. If they can even get you a few hundred thousands of dollars or something. So this is real. This is interesting. And I feel like the reason Kenya did not return to the show again is because, in my opinion, not only because of what she did, but also wanting to see what the next move was going to be with Miss Eady, right? Whether she was going to want to try to come back like they're stating, or if it was like, is she going to try to sue? So let us just wait and see. So I feel like Kenya may be able to return back to Real Housewives after all of this may have fizzled out, potentially. We shall see, potentially. Um, And also, I feel like I don't think that Bravo should wholeheartedly punish Kenya for what was done, because y'all have to take accountability for your part as a network because y'all still showed it. Even though this woman came back to us and told us that it wasn't even her in the photo, right? So yeah, like y'all didn't have to show that. And actually they didn't even show it to us, but we understood what was pretty much going on at the same time. But anywho, they're also saying that on June 5th, a notice filed with the New York Supreme Court on June 5th described some of the same allegations as Eady's federal suit. So this is a federal suit, but the state proceeding was discontinued Thursday. Now, Eady alleges that Bravo and Truly Original violated New York State and City and Atlanta. Um, they're saying Truly Original and Bravo violated New York State and New York City and Atlanta sex discrimination laws, right? They're saying and committed retaliation, negligence, breach of contract, breach of fair dealing, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Eady seeks she seeks damages, including back pay and front pay, and past, present, and future pain, suffering, and other hardships arising from Bravo's and Truly Original's conduct, punitive damages, and cost of the suit, including attorney's fees. Okay, so hearing all of that, that racks up to quite a few millions of dollars. Now, I don't know if there's a number amount attached to it, but it definitely sounds like millions and millions and millions of dollars. In my personal, right? I don't know. Well, it looks like she is looking for like a jury trial. I don't I don't see this making it to trial. There could potentially be a settlement, but it could also go to trial. And if she doesn't win, it's gonna go away very quietly. We won't hear nothing else about it. And it could be, I don't know. I also could see this being a negotiation thing for a very long time, her not getting anything out of it, and likely losing a lot of money because of it. And then when there is a settlement, it may be like sealed information to where she really didn't get nothing out the deal, and neither did Bravo. But I guess to further save her reputation, let's not put it out there. Like, I honestly, in my personal opinion, okay, don't take my opinion as a law one because I'm not an attorney, girl. Okay, just my personal opinion. You could like Brittany all up and down, left, right, in a circle in the U.S. and out. I don't see her getting a dime, but that's just me. I would love to be proven wrong. Like, she won this. And if she does win this case, a lot of other people that's been a part of these reality shows are also going to be able to win some coinage off of this, potentially. Right? Not off of her situation, but they're definitely going to use her situation as a reference in their own lawsuits, I'm sure, and be able to receive some form of compensation at a later time. But even if she does kind of win, is like I said, I feel like it's probably going to be private details. Case may be sealed up at that point because Bravo is likely not going to want anybody else to be able to comfort them in the same type of fashion. So I don't know. And even though to us or to me, it seems like, well, that's what you sign up for. Yeah, but it also don't mean that there could not have been illegal things to have taken place. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that the things that she's mentioning didn't happen and she didn't have a right to come forward to sue for that matter, right? A lot of us sign up for jobs and stuff. And then some of the things that we receive from those jobs, especially when y'all be over here doing other folks' work. Hello? I don't even know if there's a lawsuit for that, child, but you sign up for these jobs, but it don't mean that there aren't certain parameters that you can use against that job in an effort to, sue their. So we shall see, because I don't know, but I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen. But I will say that the NBC Universal Executive Vice President Jennifer declined comment on behalf of Bravo, the attorneys for Eady, and spokesperson for with Truly Original did not immediately respond to the request for comments at this particular time, is what they're saying. So yeah, that's what's going on. Over here on reality entertainment as well, just checking out to see if there's anything else in this lawsuit that I didn't already talk about. Right. I feel like we got into some of that. Defendants ultimately made the disgusting decision to leverage it at her expense. The graphic photo at issue appeared to depict a woman performing fellatio on an unidentified man. It was presented to a group of about 200 people. Right. Let's see. More represented the audience that the woman in the photograph was Eady. So she said it was her, but I'm so confused because you came back and said that it wasn't you. But I think what she was trying to say last time was that they had her thinking this entire time that it was her. And so she suffered emotional distress from believing that it was her, only to find out, according to her, months or like a year later, she learned that it wasn't her. Right. Um, so I think that was something she was trying to say. In attendance at the event were nearly a dozen of defendants' camera people who had been filming. Okay, defendants knew immediately that Moore's presentation of the photo was beyond the pale. I think we got into all of that. Um, when Eady pushed back, okay, let's get it. So, oh, okay, so despite defendants' immediate appreciation that the presentation of the graphic image was improper and beyond the bounds of the show, however, defendants made the decision at heart of this lawsuit. They decided to leverage Moore's attempt at RP at Eady's great expense. Over Eady's persistent objection, they pressured Eady to discuss the incident and her history. They sought to gaslight her, is what they're saying. They told her it could just be like the Kardashian SCX tape, meaning Eady should use this hypersexualized exposure to obtain further publicity for herself. Right? They said in some substance that she should get it all out and take control of the narrative, because the better we get this out, the better the fans will understand and have empathy for you. They wasn't wrong when they said that, and I do believe that they said that to her. I do believe that that sounds like something the producers did say to her. For sure. Let's go ahead and get in front of it. It could be like a Kardashian moment, but it can't be like a Kardashian moment. Number one, because you're not a Kardashian, you don't have that hue, right? But at the same time, We also did not see an actual sex tape. We only heard what it looked like. We didn't see nothing on the show as it pertains to the show. Like, we didn't really see that. So you could have got in front of that. Had she had a sit down with Kenya, maybe she would have learned in that moment that, hey, it wasn't even you in the picture, right? I don't know. So then she said, they would have had better empathy for her. Yeah, I think also I think that's the real reason she's suing, based on how the fans reacted to her. But when you came on before the show even aired, you were doing all these interviews and stuff, and people are just gonna have to wait to see and da da da. And when they saw it, you thought in the beginning everybody was gonna be on your side, but a lot of people were more so on Kenya's side than your side. And when you saw that the narrative was shifting and the fans weren't fucking with you like you wanted them to, that is why, in my opinion, the lawsuit came to the front, right? And I think based on how she would have handled it afterwards, I think the audience would have had more empathy for her, right? Nobody's saying she shouldn't be upset. Like, anybody would be upset if something like that was put out there about them, right? Whether it was a private moment, in my opinion, whether it was a moment that you did do on camera, but you probably thought you scrubbed it or did away with it, like it was a reason it probably was off to the side and never to resurface again. So I mean, she didn't want nobody to see that, but I think also what they said, they weren't wrong. I believe they said it, and I think a bit more ownership. Like, yeah, I did things just like a lot of y'all have. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, whatever. I'm moving forward from this. Like, this will be my last conversation about it. I don't care to interact with a person as disgusting as that. Whatever it was, I think it could have been a better ownership of the situation versus moping around like, whoa, 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 this happened to me. Whoa, 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 this was done to me. Whoa, 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 wham, 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 wham type of thing. Right? But what else? Okay, so when Eady pushed back and said that she wanted no parts of this, defendants effectively said if she did not discuss the incident on camera, she would face less and potentially no camera time and may lose out on pay. That's true. I believe that too, because that's likely how that contract was set up. Right? We've heard other housewives say that. No, not much camera time is not much pay. That's why when we get into Kay, that's why Kay wanted to make sure she came to the front and asked Monique that question. Okay? Because as much as they think Stacey want to be a part of the conversation, y'all do too, so y'all can get y'all chicks and stay on the show. But anyway, so at first, Eady relented to the enormous pressure and ultimately discussed her most intimate, personal, and sexual moments with defendants, producers, and in front of their cameras. I remember seeing a clip of her in the previews, but they actually took it out the show, because I remember talking about that, because I kept mocking the moment when she said, like, I gotta talk to my mom about sucking dick, right? And they took that completely out of the show. That was a part of one of the previews, but not in the show. Defendants thereafter chose to air many of these discussions to the world. They're saying all the while defendants continually rejected Eady's efforts to investigate the incident herself, even refusing to allow her to see the photograph that Moore presented. This, I think, is very wrong in my personal, which would have revealed to Eady that the photograph was not even her. And I feel like some part of me feel like that's what y'all get, because y'all saw it, likely knew it wasn't her. So why didn't y'all show that to her? If you were trying to avoid a lawsuit, you still ended up getting one anyway. So why not? And I just don't think that's cool. Like, I mean, who wouldn't want to see that? Who wouldn't want to, like, anybody would want to see that? Right? Like, I mean, what was shown? I need to see what they said. Let me see what was shown to the people. Some people may not have wanted to see it, but yeah. Also, what I'm wondering is, was this a real person or was this an AI photo? Now that I'm thinking about it, and what got me thinking about it, they're saying it wasn't even her, and or that it was a deep fake. Could have been a deep fake. Hell, Megan Thee Stallion is in a lawsuit with Milagro right now over harassment, but it's different to me because there were years of pile on harassment when it came to Megan from Milagro, and the deep fake, although Milagro did not repost it, she liked it, she hinted at go check it out, so you slick promoted it, right? And it was a deep fake of Megan, and then here we are, Kenya, you actually posted it, right? But again, we don't know if it was a deep fake or if it was just the image of somebody completely different that was not her at all, right? Maybe had a side profile that looked like her. She's like, I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna embarrass her with this, right? The defendants twisted the knife. We got into that. They had told Eady that they were planning to invite more back. Got into that. Enough is enough. Shortly after Eady announced that she would not be returning to the show, no one would dispute that the Real Housewives franchise trades on drama and often highly interpersonal drama. Well, here's the thing. I'm so glad that you guys said that. Nobody would dispute that. So if no one would dispute that, then that means that when your client decides to sign onto the documentation to say that she wants to be a part of this show, that means that she was very well aware. With Housewives having the history that they have had over many a years and multiple franchises, you cannot tell me this woman came onto this show without understanding the parameters of this show. However, with me saying that, it still gives the part where she didn't know she was going to come on a show and somebody would put it out there like that to where she was engaging in some sexual type stuff or whatever and post it to people. Right. So that's going to be, I would love to be in this courtroom just to, not even for the gossip of it all, y'all, but just to see how this is argued back and forth. I like stuff like that. Okay. I just would love to see, like, what's your defense to this and what do you have to say to that? How do you attack certain points in their lawsuit? Right. Because I know I got questions, but I ain't no attorney. All right. Now they're saying no one signing up to appear on the Real Housewives would expect Eady, would expect it, and Eady certainly didn't. Going back, they said, but it was never traded on this type of graphic sexual drama before for obvious reasons. It's disgusting, beyond the pale, and illegal. But you know what else is illegal? Y'all be mad. What else is illegal, disgusting, and beyond the pale? In my personal, women find taking glasses and throwing them bitches at each other. Like, they was getting down over there. Real girls get down on the floor over in Beverly Hills, right? So all of that to me is disgusting, and it is illegal because if the cops pulled up, somebody is getting arrested, right? Somebody getting arrested for throwing them hands. Like, you're not supposed to be doing that type of stuff, girl. Come folks throwing hands, grabbing hair, and wop baba loo bop, but wop bambooing on people. Like, you're not supposed to do that. All that stuff is illegal, girl. So, anywho, no one signing up to appear on the Real Housewives would expect it, and Eady certainly did not. Defendants have no immunity for sexual harassment and anti-retaliation prohibitions, and their conduct unquestionably fits within them. Eady brings this action under those laws and the law prohibiting intentional infliction of emotional distress, breach of contract, and negligence to hold defendants accountable for their unlawful and unjustifiable actions. I don't know. I would love to see how Bravo is going to respond to this, and I would love to know what portions of the contract highlights them to be able to avoid some of these things, right? Or to defend some of the things that they're being accused of. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what some of these people say. Okay, somebody says she said out of her own mouth multiple times that it wasn't her, so I'm confused by this narrative. Anyways, this is what Bravo gets for choosing her over Kenya. Okay, I feel the sentiments. Okay, everybody's confused because she said that it wasn't her. And just for the people that may be confused, what I think she's doing, as I've said before, and I'm gonna reiterate it, I think that because she did not know that it was her, she feels like, in my opinion, they prolonged the emotional distress and I guess the backlash by not allowing her to see it until, well, I don't know if she said it was months later or like a year later or something when she finally saw it. Then she said, hey guys, it wasn't me. And I feel like the reason they did let her see it a year later is because they probably knew she was finna sue them or something. And they were like, okay, listen, this isn't even you. We understand you want to sue, but what is it really good for? What is it worth if this isn't even you? Right? And she's probably still mad and pissed because, once again, it did not go in her favor. The fans don't like her, support her how she expected them to. And now it's on some, okay, but I still had to endure that. I still dealt with the depression of it all. I still was emotional about this and that. Everywhere I turned, people thought this, whatever. It wasn't cleared up. So I do feel like part of that is Bravo's fault. You know what I'm saying? Because as much as they got Kenya off the show, I don't know. I feel like had Kenya stayed on the show, maybe a few more episodes for them to have like a serious sit down, maybe things could have potentially been fixed. And and they could have had the conversation, the discussions, and she would have learned that it was never her. So there was really no real conflict resolution between the two ladies, and then here we are. But y'all let me know, because some of y'all may feel differently. Y'all may feel like I wouldn't want to talk to her after she did that, whether it was me or not. You did it with the intentions of. So no, you can't talk to me. Get her off the show, right? So y'all let me know. Let me know, y'all, how y'all feeling about that. But that's what's going on with Miss Eady. She did move forward. She pressed forward with putting this out here. Now, Miss Eady, um, I think, in my opinion, now that you're still in Bravo, I think you should just scale back on the social media a little bit. And like do your thing, but you did say some things about Shamia like a month or so ago. And you said that it was facts when you came out and said that she was caught fucking somebody on camera while she was married. Now, I don't know if it was like a previous marriage you're referring to or the current marriage that she's in, but if it's proven to not be true, so I just feel like just don't say nothing else. Just go and get this under. Just let's just figure this out, okay? Let's just figure this out, right? And again, I know a lot of people may want Kenya back on the show, and I'm only talking to the ones that want her back, child. Not child that can't stand her and don't want to see her back. But the reason I believe she's not back is because they were trying to figure out how she finna move with this lawsuit, and they probably didn't want it to look bad on them that this lady is suing them, and they still brought this person back to the show, right? Because honestly, it also would give he say, she say. If they told her that to her face, like, hey, we were thinking about bringing Kenya Moore back to the show, yada, yada, yada. If she don't got no documentation of that, is that true? Did they really tell you that? And we're not going to bring her back, because if we bring her back, then it's going to confirm what she's putting in the suit already. That, yeah, that is something that we said. So I don't know. It's going to be real interesting. Hopefully they don't be trying to seal up no records, girl, so I could just tap in there and just learn. Okay, as an unofficial law student, I mean, hello. Mm. As an unofficial student getting a master's in law, hello. As a volunteer, hello. And just let me read. I ain't got to tell nobody if y'all don't want me to tell nobody. I just want to read to get an understanding. Matter of fact, let it be live. Do the trial, cover it live. But at the bare minimum, let me get the records just so I can read and see what's going on. Okay, so we can learn some things with this. But good luck to her. Good luck to her. A lot of people would probably be doing what it is that she's doing. Whether you like her or not, if she felt like she was hurt in some capacity, she got a right to sue. If whether she gonna win the case or not, we'll have to wait and see. But best of luck to her. And I hate it too, because I feel like I could see a little bit of potential with her, but I think it would have only gotten better if I feel like the audience didn't, if she was more so on the favor of the audience, it probably would have got better. That whole back and forth with her and Shamia was a bit of a kiki. So, I mean, I think she may have had potential, but zoning in more so on Kenya. I hope nobody else that goes onto a housewife show guns for the person that's been there the longest. And I feel like they do that so they can secure that camera time, right? So it's like, don't do that, because that don't always work out in your favor. But good luck.